Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass. So one question that comes up time and time again is, how can I practice without a bass? This is usually related to something like a holiday period when you won't have access to a bass, but you just want to be able to do something, or maybe surgery where a hand or both hands are going to be out of commission, or maybe you just want to make the most of the time that you have away from the bass when traveling or out of the house. So today I'll give you some tips that might help you out with all of these scenarios, and stay tuned till the end for a simple hand exercise and warm-up that you can use away from the bass to keep your hands in shape. As always, remember to like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and also be sure to get on over to the Talkingbass website where you'll find over 450 free bass lessons on every topic imaginable. Then sign up to the Talkingbass network, a totally free membership that provides access to a community and social network of over 100,000 bass players. You can chat and discuss everything bass in the forums and even create your own custom groups on any topic. You can connect with any bass players that you meet and keep up to date with all of the activity in your personalized news feed. Then, if you want to make use of the free practice resources, just enter the practice room where you'll find a bunch of ebook downloads, like the scale reference manual. You can test yourself with the 25 bass grooves and slap riff challenges, and much more. The Talkingbass network is a one-stop hub for all of your bass interests and learning, and new features are being added all the time. So get on over to Talkingbass and sign up today. Okay, so how can we practice without a bass? Well, obviously you're not going to be able to do any of the physical practice that you would do with the instrument in your hands, but remember that the physical side of playing is only half the story. There are a whole bunch of things that we can do on the mental side, and this is where it's important to see yourself as a musician rather than simply a bass player. Developing your overall musicianship and musical knowledge will always provide you with much longer lasting benefits. For example, let's say that you were to take a year out of playing the bass. If the only areas of playing that you'd ever focused on were, physical things like speed and stamina and dexterity, a lot of that ability would be severely lacking after a year out. But if you'd developed your overall musicianship, those physical drawbacks wouldn't mean as much. You would still have the knowledge. If you know the notes on the bass, if you have a good ear, if you can read well, if you understand harmony, if you have a good vocabulary for improvisation, if you can compose bass lines, then that time out from the bass doesn't really mean anything, and most of those things can be practiced away from the bass. So, in terms of exercises away from the bass, one thing that you can do really easily at any time is spelling drills. I've talked about spelling drills many times on the channel and actually have a free ebook in the practice room at Talkingbass completely devoted to them, so just follow the link below to download that. Spelling drills are simply a method of reciting scales, arpeggios and pretty much any musical patterns by note, either aloud or in your head. So let's take a C major scale for example. As a spelling drill, I'd simply recite the notes to myself: C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Easy. And you can do the same thing for any scale. So for G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. F major, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. You just recite them to yourself, and this is a great way of getting out of that overly pattern-based way of looking at music on the bass that we can all get locked into. You can also spell out arpeggios. So a C major triad is C, E, G. D major is D, F sharp, A. E major, E, G sharp, B. You can recite any kind of musical content, but I would definitely focus at first on the basic intervals, major scales, minor scales, and major and minor triads. Before you know it, you'll know the notes for all of those fundamental nuts and bolts of music, and this in turn is going to make a huge difference to your general bass playing as you branch out of that box shape way of seeing music. You'll feel a lot more free in terms of navigating the bass. Another thing that you can practice away from the bass is reading music. Now, this obviously assumes a basic foundation of reading ability, but as long as you know the notes on the stave and the notes on the bass, to some extent, you can read music away from the bass. This is very much a case of visualization. So, if I'm looking at any piece of music, I can easily work through it in my head as if I'm holding the bass. You just read the music and you visualize playing it. You can even extend this a little by maybe holding the hand in place as if you were playing it. So you can kind of consider this a little like shadow boxing, but for bass. Also, if you want to focus on rhythm reading, that's even easier to practice away from the bass. You can take any written music that you find and simply clap or tap or even sing out the rhythms. If you want to make things particularly challenging, then you could buy a book like Modern Reading Text or Odd Time Reading Text by Louis Belson and just work through those in your own time. Either way, reading is something that can be worked on surprisingly well away from the instrument. One more obvious thing that you can practice away from the bass is ear training. As anyone working through my ear training course or learning solfege will know, most ear training involves exercises away from the instrument and often involve the voice. As an example, you could try running simple scalar lines. First, find a tonic note that works for you, ba, and try a major scale, ba 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 ba. Maybe sing or hum it at first and then just run it in your head. Then you can try smaller segments of the scale, so ba 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 bum, ba 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 bum. Maybe a major triad, ba 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 ba, minor, ba 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 ba. And then you can try all of the different intervals, like maybe a fifth, ba ba, or maybe a seventh, ba bum. All that kind of stuff. You can sit there practicing it in your own time, completely away from the bass. If you work on ear training away from the instrument, you'll start to see huge improvements in your ability to talk through the instrument because you've already internalized the musical building blocks that you play in every bass line. As an expansion on this topic of ear training, also try transcribing music as you hear it. So if you're new to ear training, then, just try picking out bass lines by ear that you might listen to on your phone or the radio. Maybe just try to hear the bass, which can actually be one of the toughest parts of transcribing. It actually takes the ability to focus on a specific part of the mix. So just listen to the music and just try and hear what the bass is playing. You don't have to think about what the notes are. Then try to pick out phrases and work on, what kind of root movement you're hearing, scales or arpeggios that you can hear in there. And if you've done some of the other ear training exercises, you should be able to match things up a little better because, like I said, you've already internalized those sounds. You want to hear the bass line, maybe sing it back to yourself, and then work out what it is. So that's spelling drills, reading, and ear training, which will all help. But you can also use apps to help with your time away. First, if you want to learn your fretboard a little better, then you could use any of the many fretboard trainer apps out there. I don't think any of them are perfect, but in my opinion, Fret Trainer by Strong Apps is one of the better ones. Then you could also try a few ear training apps, and these tend to gamify the process of learning intervals, scales, and chords. It's worth checking out a few of them, but Complete Ear Trainer, Perfect Ear Trainer, and Functional Ear Trainer are all worth looking at. Lastly, if you're looking for any hand exercises that you can do while out and about to keep your hands in shape, I do have a single exercise that I find works as well as any, and it's really easy. All you have to do is clench a tight fist with both hands, then open both hands out and stretch. And that's it, that's the move. So now you just want to repeat that a set number of times. So first of all, just try 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. And you'll probably feel a little bit of a pull in your forearms and maybe your hands. And it's pretty much the same kind of burn that you get when playing something fairly tiring on bass. If you can do the 20 pretty easily, move up to 30 or 40. Then if that's too easy, move up another 20. I personally like to do 100 reps. Once I get to 100, I feel, a nice little burn, like I've had a good workout. So it's a cool warm-up before playing on a cold day. Obviously, mindless exercises like that aren't going to improve your overall bass playing, but if you're away from the instrument for any length of time and you feel like you need to get your hands moving, then it's about as good as an exercise as I've tried. Okay, so that's just a few tips on practice away from the bass. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and then check out Talkingbass, where you can sign up to a complete social network and practice area for free. Just click in the link below, and I'll see you next week.